so we're talking about rock music in particular, and that gap that we're talking about that happens within hip hop doesn't seem to happen as much in rock, or the blues or other genres of music, jazz, country. Now there's people that don't get along, and there's always been older people who might not like when grunge came out, there were some classic rock guys that didn't like grunge, but they couldn't deny that like these guys weren't amazing musicians. You know what I mean? They might not have liked it, and people have disliked one another, but like you'll also see young bands bringing out, like I was watching, this is kind of old, like Ed Sheeran was doing a show, and he brought the dude from Wheatus out, the dude that did the song Teenage Dirtbag. And there's a massive age gap there. Like Teenage Dirtbag, I think, is an early 2000s song. And Ed Sheeran, he's, but like, I'd like to see more of that in hip hop. I think that shit's really cool. I'd love to see like 21 Savage bring Andre or Big Boy out one night. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And there's nothing wrong. Like I'm not putting hip hop down in any way, shape, or form. It's just, there's something about it where that gap seems to be more pronounced, or, it's just different for some reason. And I don't know why that is.
I think there's an interesting thing here that could turn this conversation into lead it down another path. The interesting thing about rock music, jazz music, the things that you're speaking on is we're talking about people that are holding tangible pieces of instruments that you have to be good at an instrument to do.
Sure.
When you talk about hip hop music and beat production, there's this level of classism involved, and also racism and historical white supremacy, realistically, involved in the construction of looking down upon an art form that was built out of essentially nothing. And that's caked into everything too. And so from one perspective, I feel like that is one angle that has to be fought against when we talk about like, depending on who's having this conversation. Like if it's somebody within hip hop having this conversation, I feel like it's different than somebody who's outside of hip hop having this, but the people within, I feel like that level of, it's not necessarily classism. It's kind of elitism in a way of like, well, I had to learn how to use, we're talking about Ninth Wonder here. Ninth Wonder was the one who broke the software and hardware gap.
Facts.
He was the one who
making beats on what was it, Fruity Loops?
He was on FL. He was on Fruity Loops, and before that, the reason why it was so clutch, so crazy in my opinion, and I tell the story to students and everybody, is like at that point in time, because I was outside, I was a producer at that time using software. You were looked down upon if you made beats on software.
I was there,
and then here comes Ninth Wonder making beats that sound like they're on an MPC or sound like they're on a SP 1200 or whatever. And then everybody gets this idea about Ninth Wonder's production, and then he's like, "Oh no, I make beats on Fruity Loops." Shut that changed the entire game. Like him specifically, like that changed it, and
that's true.
The elitism kind of changed up a little bit right there, And so I don't know. I feel like there's a part of that has been passed down a little bit too. The level of skill that you. Like lyricism and the way that you say things is a lot more important in hip hop as opposed to rock music and a lot of other, well, there's none in jazz, right? Really. And, blues a little bit, but like you don't have to be the most amazing singer. You can kind of just get out there and do your thing. Now, granted, there's levels to it. Some people can really sing.
I don't know. I would counter that.
Yeah,
I would.
I feel a certain type of way about why it is too, to kind of stay on that path real quick.
Yeah.
So like, in those genres that you speak of, a lot of those musicians, like especially when you talk about jazz, in order for you to get on, somebody had to invite you in, or you had to be a part of the kind of legacy,
the
like
community, essentially.
The community. Like even when you talk about a Jimi Hendrix, he went through a lot of different groups and situations before he was Jimi Hendrix.
He used to play for, he was in Little Richard's band.
Yeah, he had to get his chops. And then even when you talk about super producer, Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones had to go through a lineage of different people to get to where he's at. And it was more of an appreciation.
Yeah.
I'm as long as I'm, my name is brought up with these people, that gives me a certain type of level of respect. And then from there, I move up. in hip hop has always been considered a young man's game. Like he talked about how by the time Fat Boys were done, they were 18, 19 years old. LL Cool J came out the box at 16.
Yeah.
And we looked at them like they were older than that, but they are young. They were all young. So when we talk about hip hop, it's the youngest art form of music, and it was always considered to rap while you're young and then find something else to do. There was never a blueprint to be like, well, you can keep on rapping when you get older. Like we're witnessing that now. So that's one of the reasons I feel like nobody in hip hop was like ushering in or let me pull this person up, because it was always pretty much without being said, like, I'm gonna just do this for a little while and I'm gonna find something else to do.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like the reason what I was saying, Lone, to counter you, I think I look at like from a lyrics standpoint. I know that obviously hip hop and rap is very lyrics heavy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that that necessarily makes it the genre that has like the better lyrics overall necessarily.
Well,
there's some just like, and I'm not trying to put words in your, I don't know what you're like.
Well, I guess what I was saying was like, because there's a lack of instrumentation in hip hop, it's
more important.
It's more focused.
Sure. That makes sense.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's easier to like spot something that is like, that's not as good as this over here. As opposed to rock music, you can get lost in, you know, I don't know how you guys listen to music, but I don't know why, but I don't listen to lyrics until maybe the third or fourth listen any time of anything that I listen to.
Yeah.
So if it just sounds good, I can vibe
that's
with
gonna
it.
pull me in.
You know what I mean? So, but anyways.
Yeah, no, there's just a lot of amazing songwriters in all those genres of music that we talked about before that are like, that I think of the same way I think of like a Kendrick Lamar, like the way that they write. I try to make fewer distinctions between, and I know we were just talking about the differences that I brought it up, but like music's still music, man. Yeah. And like, you know, there's just, you know, the songwriting element as far as what hip hop is concerned is not that different in my opinion than the songwriting that might happen in rock or in the blue, you know what I mean, or different.
The only thing that I would say to differ to that is that there's just so much more words involved in hip hop, generally speaking, as opposed to like a regular folk song I'm gonna write or a song like it's
quantity wise, for sure.
It's like 7 times more words. So to make something that cohesive and that good, and then again, then there's different styles. And there's also hip hop that's a lot more minimal. That's just as good as well. But you know,
where I get on my hip hop soapbox still at 42 is like, you can't tell me that's better than this.
No, I feel the same way.
It might be more popular and you might have sold a lot more of it. And I'll stand on that soapbox till the end of time.
I stand with you.
But like, I don't care that guy's not better at this art form than that guy over there who might have sold fewer albums or whatever. Like that, I have a problem. And, you know, I think that might happen in all genres. Like, oh, XYZ band is the best ever. They sold the most records. It's like, nah, dude. Like,
that's not an art metric.
No, it's not at all. It's a business metric.
And the thing is, like, I think that's part of sometimes the disconnect, where when we even have discussions, even amongst people who like the same or in the same age range, they'll be like, oh, well, so and so, you know, they sold all these records. And it's like, we're not even having the same conversation if that's what you're going to bring up as something that I should pay attention to as far as this person's artistic merit. Like, I don't care how many records this person sold.
And I'll say this too. I'll get in some more old man shit. It bothers me sometimes when the people like the academics of the world are the more popular ones because they don't have anything to talk about artistically. Yeah. It's all albums. It's mostly just album sales. Yeah, and this person's better than this person, or
because of X number.
Yeah, or when hearing the Drake Kendrick shit and hearing like people who thought they knew. Like, I'll tell you this about hip hop. Maybe it's because I've just been closer to it than these other genres I've talked about. I just am a fan of the blues and of funk and soul and rock and shit like that. But like, there's a lot of people who have a lot to say about hip hop and rap and don't know what the they're talking about.
We've talked about that.
You know, it's unreal. Like, and it's from a media, like what media I choose to consume when it comes to hip hop. I'm very choosy. Like there's Jesus Christ, does everyone have an opinion about something that they don't even understand?
I feel like hip hop too is a lot more technical than people give it credit for.
Absolutely, it is,
because like even production, having an ear to produce something, and then having an artist that can make that beat come alive more so than just the beat itself is an art form. Like you brought up Kendrick Lamar, he's one of the best at it. Like more recent people that does it. And like hip hop music has evolved into so much more than was expected. And I think that a lot of these OG cats didn't expect to have kids in the art form.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They graduated from being kids, but they didn't know how to raise kids in art form. You know what I'm saying? Hypothetically speaking.
No,
so now it's kind of coming back. Okay, I probably should have did it this way. And I feel like Ninth Wonder is being kind of that anchor to be like, I'm going to change how this shit is.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not cool to be a teacher. It's not. It's not cool to be somebody who does that, especially if you're in the art form.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always say, if you can't do, teach. Right? It's like one of those things. Like it's never been looked at as like, oh, it's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, or and art is one of those interesting things too. Like it's this whole failure metric, if you will. You're not successful if you don't make money off of it or all this. You know, like if you look at the world through that lens, then it makes it even more challenging sometimes, because then all of a sudden you're competing with somebody else out here and you don't, you know, it's, Anyways.
Interesting though,
Yeah,
man.
music should never be gauged by how many units is sold. I've never that's never been a thing for me. If I liked some, I liked some. Like I liked a group back in the day called the Boogie Monsters.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Nobody really rocked with the Boogie Monsters. And I was cool with that because I rocked with them. You know what I'm saying? I liked them.
Yeah.
Thresholds of negative stress.
Yeah, they was dope as shit.
Yeah.
And I could care less if they sold 100,000 copies or 1,000,000 copies. I liked it for what it was.
Right.
And it never was about just liking it because such and such likes it, or it sold this many copies, or they're getting 10 plays on Rap City versus getting a play every couple of days.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people need to change their approach and their mantra on how they view music and anything in society right now, because everything is based on metric.
Well, I mean, that's why it's every Sunday they post what is the #1 movie in the country. Mm-hmm. It might have been a terrible movie, but it'll be like, oh, it was #1. I mean, that's kind of what Hollywood's going through a thing right now, to where the things that are supposed to work are not working. Yeah. People are not. They don't care. How many superheroes are in it. They're just like, nah, we want something else. We'd rather see Sinners. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, and it's hard, but it's hard to, all these things they're spending all this money on. It's got to a point where it's so bloated, and I think in a way that's where hip hop is right now, in a certain way, because it's like you spend so much money putting these albums out, and it's like the rate of return isn't going to be what it used to be, just because nobody's buying anything, except Taylor Swift fans.
Yeah, they'll buy the same album twice, dude,
just to get the bonus track.
It's wild, man.
I mean, I mean, when you look at the chart positions, this really is Taylor Swift and everybody else. But that's another conversation. But
I noticed when the Drake Kendrick thing was happening, it was really intriguing. It was just interesting to watch, right? I was waiting for not really waiting for. I was curious to see if there were going to be any like migration of like people who were more into like Drake shit over to like the Kendrick side. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, yeah, wow, this is way more artistic. And I'm not even just trying to shit on Drake. Drake is good at what he does. I've always thought
very good.
I'm just not into what he does that much, but he's good at that, you know what I mean?
He's good at being a product, man.
But Kendrick's like, he's just, seems very genuine, and it's just, it's far more artistic to me. And I was kind of wondering, I was like, are people going to like, oh, wow. Like, and no,
they just got quiet.
They said,
just got quiet
after Kendrick
and then came back,
fucking destroyed him. Drake fans were like, well, Drake's still more popular. Yep. These are the things I'm reading and seeing. Like, these are, and I was just like, fuck, I mean, because
this
was a waste of time.
He was still even after the battle, he was still the most streamed artist of that year.
And good for Ken. And I don't want to take that away from Drake. Like, good for him. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. And it was just funny, like stepping into that arena again. Like, no, he's not better than him. Like, he's not close. And he sells more records. Oh, okay. All right. Well, conversation over.
Yeah. Like you've made your point.
Yeah.
There was something you said earlier, and I'm not gonna cut this wound back open, but you made a very good point. And then we can go to the next topic about the difference between how certain genres are looked at. You talked about, if I'm not mistaken, instruments are involved, and how things with jazz. We'll use jazz as an example. And then one thing that jumped out to me was his conversation about the instruments, but also the lineage of jazz holds to me, way more weight than hip hop. Miles, Coltrane, all these. It's been around longer.
Mhm.
So I think there's a level of precedence that comes with jazz when you talk to it as it relate to how you compare it to other genres, because jazz has some guys that are iconic in music, period. And it goes back to the 50s and
We'll
40s,
further
50s,
than that.
30s.
Yeah.
Like it goes all the way back.
Mhm.
And
Right. And I think that part kind of makes people look at it a little different, because you have to be able to play XYZ. People were writing music for jazz, and there's a lot that goes
I
into
feel like
that.
that's part of every genre right now, though. Like, because like when you talk about music as a whole,
Mhm.
nobody's as into being an instrumentalist as they were back in the day. That's pretty much, kids had bands after school. Let's meet up in my garage and let's play this shit. Like everybody learned how to play instruments. Now when you talk about jazz, this is another thing that makes hip hop so formidable and so important. Like when you talk about Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip was formulating their hip hop around jazz essentially. Like nobody had done that before.
yeah,
And it created a whole different like vibe and energy from what he was doing from his jazz influences. So like I ain't taking nothing away from anybody musically, like, because being able to play an instrument is technical. I mean, I feel like at least 3 of us have played instruments in this room, so I know what goes into learning how to play that
I
instrument.
can play the
And
recorder.
there you
Look
go.
out
I mean,
now.
everybody's played that at least.
Look out now.
But like,
Hot cross
there
buns.
is a different appreciation as far as music is concerned by knowing how to play an instrument. But in the same token, having an ear for the music, and even being DJs, knowing how to manipulate the music to make it sound this way, is essentially using the instrument. It's just not as technical as it was at one point in time.